So in this little video, I'm going to show you how I make this really simple but really nice looking little wrist strap. This is actually a new technique to me, and this is absolutely how I will be doing my wrist straps from now on. This one is really cute. It is made out of vinyl, and it's super simple. I can't even believe it. So why I've been doing them the other way, I have no idea. But anyway, I am going to show you how I do this one. And this one is actually in vinyl. I would do the exact same thing in leather. And I am going to make one out of this cork. So I am going to go through all of the steps for you, and you can see exactly how I do everything. So one of the things about probably why I have really good success with my bag making is because I take precision and accuracy really seriously, I guess, as far as a hobby goes. Rotary cutters and rulers are by far your most accurate way of doing your cutting for straight cuts. So use your rulers. I've got various ones. This one that I'm using right now is one of my favorites. It's 18 by 2.5. And what I'm going to start off with, this little swivel on here is a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch swivel, so that means that my strap that fits inside is going to be 1/2 inch wide. So to start off with, I'm going to cut 2 pieces of cork 3/4 inch wide, and I have found that 12 inches actually makes a pretty nice size wristlet. You don't want anything like really long. Like I've got fairly large hands, and this one fits quite nice. So if you have someone that has a lot bigger hands, maybe you want to do it a little bit bigger, but this is kind of a nice compact size. I like this one. So I can do this 2 ways. I'm going to do the least cuts this way. I'm going to make 2 pieces that's 3/4 inch wide. So that's going to be 1.5 inches that I'm going to start off with. That's what I'm going to cut out of my 1 piece of cork. So I've got my mark at 12 inches here, and I'm lining up here at 1.5 inches. So that's that. Now I'm going to just cut this in half. So that gives me, so I'm going to line up at 3/4 inch. Didn't quite get enough there. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I have my 2 pieces that are 3/4 inch wide. If you've watched any of my leather making videos, I have one out where I make a long strap. I use a product, it's from Tandy Leather, and it's called Eco Weld. Now it is a water-based, like a contact cement, but it is water-based, so it doesn't really have much of a smell to it, and it's very easy to work with. If you don't have any of that, which it's worth a thought to maybe invest in some. It's not very expensive, very easy to work with, and it's readily available. I think even you can mail order from Tandy as well. But I tried what I'm going to be doing. I tried with just like a water base, like a normal craft glue, and it just does not work. I can't get things to stick together because of the fuzzy backing. The vinyl that I used had this same kind of a backing on it, and the glue just wanted to absorb into it, and there was nothing there to stick. So again, I'm going back to my fabric high tack. This is a solvent-based glue. Works very well. I use it all the time. I am carrying it in my shop now. If you're local, you can come and pick it up. I'm not sure yet, I may be providing it on my website as well for order. So this is the product that I use. I get lots of questions about this. So this is what I'm using. So what I'm going to do, the important thing is more to get the edges glued. So I'm just going to put, and I could put this all over the whole thing, but I don't really need to. It's not important exactly that the center of it gets glued together. And all I'm going to do, actually I might bring you in a little closer here. There we go. So I've got a little bit of glue on here, and I'm just going to kind of get this to the edge. I'm going to be trimming off my very edge, about 1/8 of an inch off of everything. So if I don't get right to the very outside, it's not a big deal. Now I'm going to, if I was using Eco Weld, I would do both sides and let it just kind of dry a little bit. This is a little different, so I'm going to try and get this as even as possible. Even meaning edge to edge, like edge this way. There. So now I can just kind of press this, and basically what I have now is a double-sided strap, and it's just glued together. Now exactly how I would do it with leather, now you can see it's very hard to get everything exactly matched up, and that's why we cut the strap a little bit wider and trim it down. So I'm just going to make sure that this gets tacked up really well. I can put some more pressure on it, make sure that it's stuck together. So this is set up really nice. It's stuck together. Now I'm going to trim my sides. So now I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off. So on my rulers, the yellow lines here, that's 1/8 of an inch. So my strap right now, let me see if I can do this. So this is 3/4 of an inch right here, this mark. So if I go in 1/8 of an inch, that takes me to the edge of that yellow. So that's what I'm lining up with. So for the first side, I'm trimming it down to 5/8 of an inch. So I'm taking off 1/8 of an inch. This one isn't completely crucial. As far as if you took a little bit more or a little bit less, it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to flip this over because I'm right-handed and it makes it easier for me. Now I'm going to line up with my 1/2 inch mark all the way along. Make that nice and straight. Keep your fingers out of the way. So there, now I have a 1/2 inch strap. And now those edges are really nice and even and really clean. Now this is just, I have the equipment here to do this, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. First I'm just going to trim the one end. Now I'm going to square this off. I'm barely going to take anything off. I just want it just trimmed. You could cut the strap a little bit longer if you wanted to, and then trim it down to 12 inches as well. So I've got one nice blunt edge there. Now this side, again, just because I have the equipment here, and I'm not gonna be punching on my good mat. I'm going to grab one of my little ones. And oh, sorry, this is an end strap, like a strap end cutter. This one happens to be kind of a little bit like a cathedral ceiling type looking one. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little pointy end on here. So I'm just going to kind of line things up, make sure that it's nice and centered and straight, that kind of thing. You don't need to use one of these. You could just round round it as well if you want, just with a pair of scissors. So that's all it is. So really nothing really all that fabulous. It just gives me a little bit of a point there. You could leave it squared off too if you want, whatever makes you happy. So now this strap is actually ready to do top stitching on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this end. I'm going to come across here. I'm going to keep a nice even 1/8 inch seam allowance all the way around, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to go just back over there, and that's it. So there it is. I've got it top stitched. There you can see it. And yeah. Now all I have to do is get my piece of hardware and a rivet and my punch. So that's what's next. So really nothing too major. Just a quick top stitch around there. Now if you wanted to, on this other one, I actually did do the edge coating, and I just did a really quick one. I only did one coat on here, but just did some black on there. And I think it looks kind of nice with the gunmetal. So did that. If you wanted to, this is natural on natural. So, I mean, you can kind of see that there's that fabric inside there, but it is glued together, so it shouldn't separate. And that was the importance of getting the glue right to the edge and stuff. So anyway, that is that. The next thing that I'm going to do is to just mark things for how I fold it and put the rivet in. So I want to pay a little bit of attention to what is my outside and what's the inside. And I can tell because I've got some nesting a little bit there. I didn't hold my threads, that kind of thing. No, not a big deal. It's all going to be hidden. But this is going to be the inside. So I'm going to go from I'm going to be measuring from the end that I've curved or punched or whatever. However I have that shape, that's the end that I'm going to be using. And I am going to measure, and this, you can play around with this too. This is what works for me. I like this. So I'm going to make a little mark. I'm using just a purple air erase marker. You can use whatever you want. Again, this won't be seen, so I'm just going to put a little mark there at 1 1/4 inches. Going to get my little piece of hardware, my little 1/2 inch swivel clasp, and I'm going to put that on. Just going to leave that sitting there. I'm going to bring up this blunt end up to my mark here. Now when I fold this over, I'm not going to, I want to make sure that this has just a little bit of room in there, and you can see it in here. Okay, so I've got just a little bit of a space there, and it just allows that to move. There you can see the little hole there. So that's what I'm allowing here. So I'm going to put my hardware on there, and I'm just going to fold this over. And again, you can decide where you like it. If you want a larger fold and want to put 2 rivets in, you'll have to make your strap longer, but you can do pretty much whatever you want. I really like my pliers style. This is from Tandy Leather. This is their Craft Tool Pro Punch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and line it up. I guess I could make a mark on there too to show you exactly what it is that I'm doing here. So I'm trying to kind of center it this way and the same distance here. So that's about where I'm going to punch my hole, and I'm going to punch it through everything. But I want all of this stuff to be nice and straight when I do that. And that's all there is to it. Now, I'm gonna grab, now I find my small rivet works well enough to go through all of this. This is how I have my rivets organized, because yeah, that's just the way I am. So all I'm doing is I'm going to put my rivet on. Actually, now this is a good time to explain to you the idea of with rivets. How big of a rivet do you use? Well, especially if you're using a hand setting tool as opposed to a press, you want the top of that rivet to just poke through your materials. You don't want it protruding too much. Otherwise, especially if you're hand setting, it will offset. It'll kind of bend and it'll offset. So I'm just going to put my cap on here, just like that. And I'm going to go to my press, and I'm just going to press that down and set that rivet. And that's all there is to this. Pretty simple. I'm gonna be doing a lot more wrist straps, because this is so by far the easiest way of doing it. Trying to make a seam and glue this all together like I did with some of my other straps. Sure, you can't necessarily see where I hide the seam up here, but there's a lot more to it. It's a lot more involved with having to reinforce that, getting part of this glued together, but leaving some of it open so that you can, it's a hassle. This is really straightforward, really flat, really easy to do. You're gonna love this. It probably would take me a quarter of the time it's taken to do this video to actually make this little strap. So it's very, very quick. So good luck with it and have fun, and I can't wait to see what you have made.